Okay. Hello. Hey guys, can you hear me? Am I audible? Mahadev, Ramarao.
Yes.
Hey guys, good morning. Let's just wait for a few more minutes for the others to join the session as well, and we'll start the session. In the previous classes, we have been covering networking fundamentals, an important prerequisite for cybersecurity. I think we are left out with a few more concepts in this, so we can cover those today. And again, all of these sessions are being recorded, guys. So since these are the first few demo sessions, you can find the previous recordings on YouTube itself. So you can just search for DurgaSoft cybersecurity online, okay, and you'll get the recordings there.
Okay, sir.
Perfect. We'll just wait for 5 more minutes for the others to join, and we'll start the session, guys. In the meanwhile, if anyone has any questions related to the previous classes or cybersecurity as well, you can let me know. We can clarify those questions if anyone has any.
Sir, I am also interested in a networking also. Is there any uh, course on networking also, means to the depth knowledge in the networking?
I think DurgaSoft provides CCNA training, Mahadev, so you can inquire about that. What we are covering here is, again, the very fundamentals of it, what networking is, what IP addresses are, what the different categories of IP addresses are, what are some important protocols, DNS, DHCP, so all that. So whatever is required for cyber security part, that much networking content is covered. But if you want to go much more in depth on it, you can inquire about CCNA.
Sir, this what regarding this security itself, what about AI futures, sir? Whether how AI is integrating with the security
Right.
solutions, that also you will
So
going to be cover anything in the
yeah,
course?
right. So if you notice, this course is again CEH version 13 with AI. So currently, the integration or the implementation of AI in cybersecurity is you have tools available in some operating systems called Shell GPT, which allows you to execute operations automatically. Okay. So basically, again, we have different operations, network scanning, port scanning, etc. So to automate certain operations and automate those repetitive tasks, we have these AI scripts. Okay, so that is what we'll be learning as well. So until now, the only thing you can use AI for in cybersecurity is to automate certain things, or you can write scripts or again basically prompts to give you the syntaxes of certain tools. Okay. Because again, in cybersecurity, we'll be working with a lot of tools, different types of tools. Okay. So it's quite a bit tough to remember all the syntaxes. So just in case if you've forgotten something, you can use your normal English coding prompts itself to execute the same operations. So that's how far they have integrated AI with cybersecurity currently. And that's what we'll be learning as well in the upcoming sessions. Rama.
Good, sir. Good.
Right. So, okay, I think the others
Sir,
are yeah, Rama, go ahead.
sir, generally I used to hear in my office very occasional, means very frequently, that the word signature and some other
Mhm.
security terms, which actually I'm not aware about those things. What is called?
Right. SSL signatures and stuff. We'll be
Uh,
covering those as well, definitely. So the certificates, signatures, okay, hashes, encoding, encryption. These are all cybersecurity related terminologies itself. Okay. And yes, we will be covering what those are in the upcoming sessions. Those are basically to create authenticity, okay, and authorization, Ramaro. So basically to verify if the document is original or not, and the person that is sending it is the actual person or not. To verify all those, you have something called signatures and certificates. Okay, but basically for authentication and authorization. Okay? But yeah, we will be covering that in much more in depth in the upcoming sessions.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. So the others are slowly joining. We'll just wait for 2-3 minutes more, and we'll start the session, guys. In the meanwhile, yeah, well, all questions are welcome. If you have any queries, any questions, please feel free to ask.
Sir, cyber security and one more I heard about SOC. How both are different or both are same?
What else did you hear about Mahadev?
Uh,
Cybersecurity and
cyber security and SOC.
again, cybersecurity is basically divided in two departments, Mahadev. One is SOC and one is NOC.
Mhm.
SOC stands for Security Operations Center. NOC stands for Network Operations Center. Okay, those are the two departments that you have in cybersecurity itself. In the domain of cybersecurity, those are like the subdomains, okay, or the subdivisions.
Mhm.
And this course will be covering both actually. It is more oriented towards NOC itself, Network Operations Center, where we perform penetration testing, where we perform patch management, where we check the security of every single endpoint. SOC, on the other hand, is all about data analysis and threat detection. So if you're for all the incoming threats or outgoing threats from your organization to detect and monitor traffic, for data security, you have SOC. Okay, and this course will be covering both of those. Okay, but more towards NOC, I would say 75% to 80% NOC and remaining 20% SOC as well. Okay, exactly.
Yes, sir.
Right. So in SOC, we use something called SIM tools, SIEM tools. Security, information, and event management tools. Tools like Splunk, Alien Vault, QRadar, IBM QRadar, okay, etc., etc. So these tools are capable of collecting logs from all the devices and putting it in one centralized place, in one centralized server, and then going through the logs and detecting anomalies in that. So that is what SOC is all about. Detecting threats, okay, analyzing the traffic, okay, analyzing the logs, and checking for malicious activity. NOC is where you're talking about device security. So your routers, your servers, your firewalls, your client desktop operating system devices, your employees' PCs and all, if they are secure or not, if they are having any viruses in them or not, if they are getting attacked on some services or not, all that is NOC. Okay, that is what ethical hackers or penetration testers do, checking the security of every single endpoint or every single application in the organization. Is
And
that
one
clear?
more, yes, sir, I got it. But one more thing, if we talking about networking, so one more term coming in picture, that is the Cisco, sir.
That is what. I'm sorry, I didn't get you, Mahadev. What was that other term?
Other term that Cisco also playing a
Mhm.
role for networking or
It's just a vendor, right? Just like how you have Juniper as a vendor, Cisco is also another vendor for networking devices. There's no necessary rule that you have to do Cisco certifications for cybersecurity. Because again, in every organization, there's no rule that they'll always be using Cisco devices. What if
Mhm.
your organization is using Juniper devices, like Juniper routers or Juniper switches, okay, pfSense firewalls, etc., etc. So in an organization, you can have devices from different vendors. So there is no link between Cisco and cybersecurity as such. Okay, I've been working in my organization and they have pfSense firewalls, they have Cisco routers, okay, they have Juniper switches. Okay, there's a combination of different vendors. Okay, so again, there's no such link between Cisco and cybersecurity per se.
Okay, got it. Thank you, sir.
Right. What Cisco certifications do give you is basic in-depth knowledge on networking and the routing protocols and Cisco configurations of their devices. But it's not a prerequisite, I would say, for cybersecurity. Okay, having basic knowledge on networking, what I have explained in the earlier classes, is more than sufficient to get started in cybersecurity. Okay, because we have covered all the important concepts in the earlier classes. We have covered what networking is, what networks are, what are hosts. Okay, what are IP addresses, what are IPv4 address properties, okay, how do you convert binary numbers to decimal numbers, okay, and from that conversion we got to know what the first IP is, what the last IP is, what the sequence of IPs are, okay, and how these IPs are categorized in different types, okay, what are classes and IP addresses, what are public IPs, what are private IPs, okay, what is class A, what is class B, what is class C, what is class E, what are their unique ranges, okay. We have covered all this in the last two classes actually. Okay, no worry if you have not attended these sessions. Again, the institute will be sharing the links as well. Okay, for those previous recordings. Again, once you register for the courses, you'll be getting all these recordings in your Google Drive directly as well. Okay, on your Google Drive, you can access these recordings whenever you want to. Okay, on your registered email. So we have covered all these concepts in the last class. Today, we're going to cover some more important in-depth concepts on how to assign a private IP How do you get it manually? How can you assign it automatically? What is a DHCP server? What is a DNS server? We'll cover all that in today's class. Okay. So again, as mentioned, this was more than sufficient actually for learning. Again, for cybersecurity, to know networking, this is more than sufficient, because in cybersecurity, the most important networking aspect you see are IP addresses. In the logs and all, you see IP addresses very frequently. So you need to understand what those IP addresses are, again, which category of IP address is that? Okay, what does it again exhibit? Okay, is it a private IP? Is it a public IP? Where is the attack initiating from? All that is understood from these concepts itself. Okay, so this is more than sufficient. You don't need to learn any Cisco certification for that. Okay, is that clear, guys? I think Mahadev, right? Or someone else was asking the question.
Yes.
Right, right. Any questions, Mahadev?
No, sir. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, let's get started without any further ado. I think everyone is here. So now let's talk about how do you assign a private IP to a system. So in your organization, if you have like 100 or 200 computers, again, if each of these devices needs a private IP, there are two methods. You can either assign it manually yourself. So if you're the network administrator, it's your responsibility to go to every other system in the network and assign a private IP. That is one method. That is the older method, the manual method. There's a much more newer method also, automatic method, which is called DHCP. Okay. I'm going to explain both of those now. Okay. So if you want to do it manually, guys, you have to first go to your control panel. So I can search for control panel here. In the control panel, I have to go to network and internet. In network and internet, I have to go to network and sharing center. In network and sharing center, I have to go to adapter settings. And these are all the various adapters that I have on my device right now, currently working. And I can select any of these adapters, right click on those, go to properties. And in those properties, I'll see different, again, subcategories. I have to go to IPv4 properties, Internet Protocol version 4. And here I can assign an IP address. So if you have to assign it manually, you have to select the second option here and type the IP address. So it's if I want to assign the class C private IP, something like 192.168.0.100, I can specify that IP. What's the subnet mask for this, guys? We have learned in the last class. For class C, the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. What's the default gateway? Default gateway is the first IP in the network, the router's IP. We have covered that as well in the last class. So 192.168.0.1 is the default gateway. Now, along with these, you also have to specify something called a DNS server. Now, just in case if you don't know what to enter here, for now, you can just enter 8.8.8.8. So if you go to your browser, in your browser, you can do a quick search, Google DNS server IP, and that will provide you two IP addresses. One is 8.8.8.8, and the other one is 8.8.4.4. Okay, and you can use any one of those. Okay, it's completely free to use. You can specify those IPs here: 8.8.8.8 or 8.8.4.4. Now, don't worry what a DNS server is. I'm going to explain that also in very detail in a few minutes. Okay. But for now, just in case if you don't know what to enter here, you can enter those two addresses. And as soon as I click on OK, my system's IP address will change to this one. So in the olden days, if you were the network administrator, it was your responsibility to go to every single system and configure the IP address this way. You have to assign a unique IP address, again, the subnet mask, the default gateway, and the DNS server IPs. Okay. So if it is like 10, 15 systems or 20 systems, that's completely fine. Not that big of a deal. But if the organization has hundreds and hundreds of systems, you going to every singular device and assigning it this way is problematic. Okay. So that is why you have a much simpler option, which is just with one click of a button, obtain IP address automatically, obtain DNS server automatically, you get an IP address. But how is that happening? Okay. This is happening with the help of something called a DHCP server, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol Server. Okay. So again, if you search for DHCP as well, that is what the name stands for, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. From the name itself, you can figure out what is happening. It is to dynamically or automatically configure an internet protocol address to every host in the network. And this happens with something called the DORA process. Okay. Now you might have a question. In my home network, where is the DHCP server? I don't have any separate server like DHCP. So in our home networks, guys, the Wi-Fi router itself is the DHCP server. Okay. And that DHCP server, the Wi-Fi router, performs DORA automatically to assign every unique system a unique IP. So let me explain how that happens now. Okay. So let's say in our home network now, this is my router here, or my DHCP server as well. So DHCP server or the Wi-Fi router. And your DHCP server always has a pool of free IP addresses. Okay. So this will have a pool of free IPs. Again, this pool starts from 192.168.0.2. Why is it starting from 0.2? Because the first IP is always assigned to the router 0.1. Okay. So now after 0.2, then you have the next IP 0.3, 0.4, and then 0.5. This goes on all the way up to 192.168.0.254 and 192.168.0.255. Okay, but you will be never assigning 255 to any system. This is called the broadcast IP. I'll explain what that is now. Okay, so this is called the broadcast IP. Okay, so whenever there are new devices in the network, let's say if you have two computers connected in the network, and if they're selected on that option, obtain IP address automatically, your DHCP server will perform something called DORA, DORA. And with that DORA process, it automatically assigns a unique IP to each system. So this device will get the IP available, which is 192.168.0.2, and this will get 192.168.0.3. Okay. As soon as those IPs are assigned here, they are removed from the pool again. So the pool will not contain those IPs anymore. So this will change to 4, this will change to 5, this will change to 6, and this will change to 7. Okay. So automatically those IPs are removed from the pool. Okay. But what is this DORA? Let's talk about that. So let's say now I connect one more device in the network, a completely new device. Okay. Now the first thing this device does when it is selected on that option, obtain an IP address automatically, what it does is it starts broadcasting a signal. It sends a broadcast signal called discover signal. So what I mean by broadcasting is it is sending from one system to all systems. Okay. How does that happen? It just sends a packet on this IP, 192.168.0.255. So when you're connecting to the router for the first time, when you enter the password, router supplies this broadcast IP to it. Okay. It tells this is the broadcast IP. If you want to perform DORA, send a packet to this IP. Okay. Because one of these IPs will be the DHCP server. Okay. So when a packet is sent to this IP, it goes to every other device in the network. So it is asking every system, are you the DHCP server? Are you the DHCP server? Are you the DHCP server? When it reaches the wrong devices, they just ignore that packet. They don't respond to it at all. Okay. But when it reaches the correct DHCP server, it says, hi, I am the DHCP server here. You are looking for me and I can offer you an IP address. Okay. So for that discover signal, in return, we get an offer. It says, hi, I'm the DHCP server and I can now offer you an available IP. So next IP available is 192.168.0.4. Okay. For that offer, your client says, oh, thanks for offering me that IP. I request you that you allocate that IP to my system and do not assign it to anybody else. So there's a request initiated. Okay. And for that request, your server says, okay, done. So for that request, I'm acknowledging that request, which is like a confirmation. Okay. So I acknowledge your request here. Oh, sorry. So here it sends an acknowledgement now saying done. I confirm that this IP is assigned to you and not to anybody else. And with that acknowledgement, it gets that IP 0.4. And once it is assigned here, it is removed from here. So now this next available IP will be 5, okay, 6, 7, and this 8. Okay. And this entire process is called the DORA process. D for discover, O for offer, R for request, and A for acknowledgement. And I'm pretty sure you have observed this at least once in your life. Okay. Every time you open up your phone and when you try to connect to a new Wi-Fi router, you enter the password first. Okay. After the password is authenticated, for a very short duration, you see this message, obtaining IP address. I'm not sure how many of you have ever observed that, but if you have, that is when the DORA process happens. So during that message, obtaining IP address, in that short gap, DORA is happening between your phone and the router. And once DORA is successfully completed, then it shows connected there. So when it shows connected, it means your phone has been assigned a private IP. Okay, so that is what DORA is. It is automatically, your DHCP server is capable of automatically assigning an IP address to every unique device in the network. Okay, so here, now the network administrator does not have to go to every system and assign an IP manually. It automatically gets the IP from the DHCP server. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Any questions, any doubts up to this point? Jaspreet, Mahadev, Rama Rao, VR, Rajendra. Hello.
I'm good, sir. I don't have any doubt.
Right. So again, that is the same thing which I've shown here as well in the presentation document, if you notice. So you have a DHCP server, and from that DHCP server with the DORA process, each system gets a unique IP. Okay. What is that DORA? D for discover, O for offer, R for request, and A for acknowledgement. Okay. If I have to show you the DHCP server practically, I can go to my browser also. And in my browser, I can just access my router's IP. So if I go to my router, 192.168.0.1, and my home network, I'm using a TP-Link router. And if I log into my router here with my credentials, this you can go to the network settings. If you're using a TP-Link router as well, you can go to network here. And in network, you have to go to LAN settings. And you can see my TP-Link router, Wi-Fi router itself is acting as a DHCP server. Okay, it is getting the first IP in the network, and this is the pool of IP addresses from 0.2 to 199. I'm not using the entire pool, I'm just using up to 199. That is sufficient for me. And from that pool, you can notice from 2 to 199, these are all the devices in my network here. Just a second. Yeah, so 0.2, 0.3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. These are all the IPs assigned to each unique system in my network here, if you notice. Okay, so there's 7 clients or 7 devices in my network alongside the DHCP server. Okay, so that is how, again, you can configure a DHCP server and its pool as well in your local network. Okay, so that is about DHCP. Moving on to the next process or the next protocol, DNS. What is DNS server and why do we need DNS protocol? DNS stands for Domain Name System Server. Okay, so to understand DNS in the simplest way possible, we can take the example of our own phones itself. In your phone, there's an application called Contacts. Okay, and the main purpose of that Contacts application is to link a contact name with a contact number. Okay, so let's say if you get my phone number, the first thing you'll do is you'll save that phone number. You'll assign it some name to it. Okay, cybersecurity trainer, Shoaib cybersec, whatever it be. Okay, so next time when you want to contact me or when you want to call up me, you'll search by the name. Okay, and you'll initiate the call from that. Okay, but please note when you're initiating the call does not happen on the contact name. The call is placed between your 10-digit SIM card number and my 10-digit SIM card number. Okay. Only to recognize my 10-digit SIM card number, you have assigned it a name, a contact name. Okay. The connection does never happens on the name. You can assign any name to it. Connection always happens on the 10-digit contact numbers, right? Similarly, if you go to your browser and in your browser, when you search for a website or a domain like www.google.com, your browser actually doesn't understand this language. It doesn't know what www.google.com stands for. Okay. What it actually needs to connect to this domain is the IP address. So somewhere on the internet, there's a physical server with a certain public IP, and that server is containing Google's web page. Okay. So what your browser actually needs is that IP address, and that IP address is given from a DNS server. So a DNS server on the internet is basically the internet's phone book or the internet's contact book. Okay, it translates human readable domain names into IP addresses. So when you type a URL in your browser, that request first goes to the ISP, and ISPs will have their DNS servers. In those DNS servers, they'll have information on which domain is located on what IP address. Okay, So google.com stored on so-and-so IP. Bing.com is stored on so-and-so IP. YouTube.com is stored on so-and-so IP. Shro.com is stored on so-and-so IP. Okay, so for every unique domain name, there's a unique public IP. Okay, and those IP addresses are available in a DNS server. This is the internet's contact application. Okay, so when that DNS server gives you the exact IP, with that IP address now, it reaches the exact website. Okay, which is the google.com web page. Okay, so when you type a URL in the browser, the DNS server will resolve or convert that domain name into IP address. And with that corresponding IP address, it allows your device to connect to that intended web server. Okay, so it's like the internet's phone book. Contact numbers are like the public IPs, and contact names are like the domain names. Okay, if I show you a simple example, if you can open up your command prompt also, and in your command prompt you can just search for a command called ping, P-I-N-G. Ping is a command for checking connectivity. So you can enter a domain name here, www.google.com. And what this does is it sends something called ICMP packets. ICMP packets are just for checking network connectivity. So my system will now start sending 32 bytes of data. Okay, it sends 4 packets, each of 32 bytes, and it checks for a response. If you're getting a response back, it means the connectivity is perfectly fine. If you're not getting a response back, it means there is issues with your connectivity, right? So my system sent 4 packets. It received 4 packets, lost 0 packets, which means everything is perfectly fine. And if you notice the reply, I'm getting a reply from an IP address here, 142.251.223.4. If I copy that IP address, if I go to my browser here, and if I paste that IP address here, carefully observe what happens. If I hit enter, I get Google website itself. But we don't have to remember this IP address anymore. This is like the contact number for Google. Okay. And google.com, the domain name is like the contact name. So we don't have to remember the contact numbers, the IP addresses anymore. All thanks to a DNS server, the internet's phone book, which is translating that domain name into that IP address and vice versa. Okay. Is that clear? If your DNS servers were not there, you would have to remember the IP address of every single website on the internet, which is very problematic. Okay, so that is why we have DNS servers converting or resolving every domain name into its IP address and vice versa. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Rajendra, Jaspreet, Jayesh, Mahadev,
Yes, sir.
Ramarao, VR, Mangor. Yeah, okay. Others, any questions? Ramarao, any questions? Mahadev, any questions? Jayesh, any questions? VR, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, assuming no questions, moving on. So after DNS, we have the next topic, which is special IPs, the last concept for networking, guys. Okay, and probably the last concept for today as well, because again, this will be the last demo, guys. If you have not registered already, please do register at the earliest. Okay, was supposed to show the lab setup installation as well today, but I think the strength is a bit low. And again, it's better if I show it only to the registered students, but don't worry, I'll still show you a small demo for that also. Okay, so when you talk about special IPs, there are two special IPs, guys, in the entire IPv4 range. Okay, first there's something called loopback IPs, and two, the secondly is something called APIPA IPs. Okay, loopback IPs range from the number 127.0.0.0 to 127.255.255.255. Now, what I mean by special IPs is these IPs are neither public IPs nor private IPs. They are not used for connectivity. They are only used for troubleshooting. What I mean by troubleshooting is figuring out if something is wrong in your network. Okay, so this loopback IP here, 127.0.0.0 to 127.255.255.255, serves only one single purpose, to check if your NIC card is working properly or not. But what is an NIC card? If I go to my browser now, and if I search here, NIC card, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So if your computer, if your laptop has an Ethernet port, right beside that Ethernet port, you'll have a chip like this. Okay. So this chip is responsible for all your network communications, because all the networking components, the Ethernet port, the Wi-Fi chipset, the Bluetooth adapters, okay, all the physical networking components are placed on this one singular chip. And if this chip malfunctions, your system will not be able to retrieve an IP address. And if it is not able to retrieve an IP address, it can't communicate with other devices. Okay. So to verify if this chip is working properly or not, you have the loopback IP. And how do you verify that with the loopback IP? You just ping to it. PING ping, give any loopback IP, 0.0.1, or you can give any random number also, 255.255.200. And if you get a response back, it means you're getting a response from the NIC card. It is telling hi. Okay. So it's like you telling yourself, or you communicating with yourself, hence the name loopback. You're forming a loop there. You're telling yourself hi and you're getting a response back. Okay. So again, if you were to ask me, this was a huge wastage of IP addresses. The entire 127 dot network was used for the same purpose. Okay. Which is a wastage of IPs. You could have just put one IP for it. But back then in the 1950s or so, they thought 4.3 billion IPs is a very large number. Funnily today, it's not. Okay. So yeah, that's what loopback is, to verify if your NIC chip is working properly or not. And then the next category of special IPs is your APIPA, automatic private IP assigned address. This ranges from the number 169.254.0.0 to 169.254.255.255. So this is an IP address which is automatically assigned by your operating system. So your Windows operating system or Linux operating system or Mac operating system, Apple Mac operating system will assign this IP in a special case. That special case is when your system is not able to retrieve an IP from other sources. So if you're not getting an IP manually from the network administrator, and if you're not getting an IP even from the automatic method from the DHCP server, then the operating system itself will assign this IP, telling something is wrong in the network. Your device is not getting an IP address from any other source. Okay. So if you're seeing an IP like 169.254 dot something, it indicates that your networking, again, other networking peripherals are not communicating properly. Your DHCP server is not assigning an IP, or your network administrator has forgotten to assign an IP. That's what it indicates. Okay. So those are the two special IPs. These are not public. Sorry, they are neither public nor nor private IPs. They are not used for communication. They are only and only used for troubleshooting. Okay. So if you see these IP addresses in your command prompt or anywhere, it needs to, again, you need to understand these are special IPs. Okay. So there's one more concept called CIDR, but I'll be covering this in the Linux commands class. Okay. So there's another topic called Linux commands. If I show you the documentation for it. So there's Linux commands here. Okay. This will be the next presentation document where we'll be learning what Kali Linux is. Okay. And what is Linux operating system in general? How is it different from Windows or Mac? Okay. What is the architecture of Linux operating systems? Okay. What are the important folders in Linux? And what are the important commands in Linux? We'll be covering all this in the upcoming sessions, guys. Okay. But before this, we need to learn how to install Kali Linux. Okay. So there's a tool called VMware, okay, which is a virtualization software. I'm going to show you how to install VMware in the next session. That will be the next practical session as mentioned. And in this VMware, you'll be installing multiple operating systems, guys. Okay. I already have VMware running here. If you notice, this is what VMware looks like. And in your VMware, you can install these operating systems called Kali Linux. Okay. So these are operating systems which have tools pre-installed for cybersecurity. Completely open source. Anyone can download them for free and install them for free. It has all the tools required for information gathering, for initial access, for remote access, for privilege escalation, for credential attacks, okay, for discovery, for scanning the network. Okay, all these tools are available in this one single operating system. Okay. We'll be downloading this software from the official website, which is kali.org. I'm going to show you how to install VMware, how to install Kali operating system. Okay. And then we'll be learning how to run the operating system, how to work on that operating system from this next presentation slide, Linux commands. Okay. So that is what we'll be covering in the upcoming sessions, guys. After this is done, then we dive into the hacking cycle, the cyber kill chain procedure, the 5-step procedure that is followed by cyber professionals or hackers for the same matter. Okay. So in the next session, as mentioned, we'll be learning how to install VMware and how to install this operating system called Kali Linux and some other virtual machines like Windows 7. So we'll have the attacker machine, we'll have the victim machine, we'll have the entire lab setup on our own devices to perform the practicals on. So I'm going to show you how to do so in the upcoming sessions. As mentioned, this is the last demo, guys. Please do register at the earliest if you haven't already. There are no more demos from tomorrow. From tomorrow, it's going to be a registered link only for the registered students. Okay. So that's that. Nothing further for the session today. Any questions or any doubts? I hope you have liked my teaching methodologies, and if you have any further questions, you can ask here, or you can ask your respective counselors from the institute. So any questions, Rajendra, Mahadev, Rakesh, Ramarao, VR?
So what is the time, scheduled time for the sessions? 8:30 to 9:30?
Same timing, 8:30 a.m. in the morning, Indian Standard Time, Rakesh. Same time as the demos itself.
Okay. And how long is this course scheduled to be?
To be precise, 32 days more. So we have taken 3 demos. So out of the 35 days, 3 days are done. So again, a month more, I would say.
Hmm. And that excludes probably weekends.
Yeah, excludes weekends as well.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
Novice question, if I may know. So the objective of the course would be is to be cyber security aware. Is that right?
Again, and also be job ready for cybersecurity job roles such as penetration tester, ethical hacker, infosec engineer. Just to be much more precise with my answer, these are all the job roles that you can apply for once this course is done. So you can also apply for the certification exam. You'll be getting all the content to write the certification with the same name, Certified Ethical Hacking, and also to apply for or be job ready for these roles. Okay. Penetration tester, ethical hacker, infosec administrator, security engineer, network security engineer, okay, etc., etc.
Okay. And how do you see, just general question again, how do you see the general market for the cyber security perspective, especially with a lot of managed services coming into place?
Definitely,
Uh,
because again, with a lot of more extra activity with AI included as well, there's a again increase in your online traffic. There's an increase in online infrastructure. Whenever there's an increase in online infrastructure, there's an increase in importance for security as well. So the market again, it's a tough market, especially in cybersecurity, because this course does not require much of coding for you. Okay, and that is one thing that a lot of students prefer, because if they are weak at coding, they would try to jump to other domains which have lesser amount of it in it. And this domain, cybersecurity, requires minimal amount of coding, especially in these job roles, pen testing or SOC analysis job roles. Okay, so the market is definitely tough, but there are definitely a lot of job opportunities available as well. Okay, and along with that, as mentioned, I'll also be sharing how you write your own resume, how you structure your resume in a such a way that you can apply for job roles with ATS friendly resumes. Okay, so yeah, definitely good market, I would say, but a lot of competition for one single job role, I would say. Rajendra, right, who was asking the
Uh,
question?
sir, actually, you told that a easy council has to be
Oh,
registered for
Rakesh. Right.
hello.
Yeah, Rajendra, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Easy. We have to get this certification. We have to register on a easy council for a certification, sir.
Yeah, right. Again, you'll be registering in the official website. I'll show you how to register that as well. But
Will you pro?
if you're
Will you?
planning on registering, do let me know, because I do have some discount coupons for the certification exam. So if you're planning on registering and writing the certification, please do inform me beforehand so that I can check for the availability of those coupons. And before that, Rakesh, did I clarify your question?
yes, you did.
Right, right. Yeah, Rajendra. As mentioned, I'll show you how to register in this website. How do you create an account in this? How do you apply those coupons? Okay, and write the certification exam. If you're available in Hyderabad, it's much better, because there are centers for from EC Council itself in Hyderabad to write the certification exam.
Will you guide, sir?
Yeah, I'll be guiding you for again, as we progress with the course, I'm going to explain from each topic what questions are asked in the exam. I'll be providing you the sample questions as well, okay, which can be used as mock questions for your exams, okay. And also I'll be giving you the coupons for the certification exam to reduce the price a bit. Quite a costly certification, around $500 or so, but don't worry, we usually get 5-10% discount coupons. So the price comes down to 32, 36, like that, almost.
Okay, so
Right.
the course is any negotiable for this course, sir?
The course price, you can discuss that with the institute itself, Rajendra. I cannot give those details. You'll have to for any price related queries, you can contact the institute itself. If you have
Okay.
issue, again, for certification, I can handle that, because again, DurgaSoft does not handle the certifications.
So
I handle
is
the certification. So
is there any limitation for like this how many times the attemption was?
no, for one certification price, $500, you can attempt it only once. But there are other
Once.
modules. Again, I think there's a much more higher price exam for $800 or something. That gives you 3 attempts. But again, don't worry, you'll pass it in the first attempt itself. I can guarantee you that. Don't worry about that.
Is there any validation, sir, for certification?
Yes, 1 year validity. Earlier it
1 year.
was 3 years, but from this year they have changed it actually. It's only 1 year per year. But don't worry, until the next version is released, you can keep using the same certificate. So at least for 2-3 years it will work, even though it says like 1 year validity only.
Okay. Okay. Sir. Okay. Sir.
Right. Good questions. Any other questions, guys? As such. Regarding the certification or the course or anything from cybersecurity.
No, with cybersecurity being outsourced to cloud service providers like AWS or Azure, etc. Because they themselves are handling, right? The enterprise organizations or corporates are handling when we say things are containerized, applications are hosted inside their cloud, etc. So all of these fallacies would be kind of already being handled
Good
by
question, but
the.
that is only for cloud security, right, Rakesh? But your organization doesn't only work on cloud, they're on-premise devices as well. What about your local FTP servers? What about your local SMTP servers? What about your local, again, web servers if you're hosting it in your organization? What about your endpoint device security? Your mobile phones, your laptops, again, employee devices, okay? Your internal Active Directories. What about all those devices? But what you're talking about is just cloud security. What about all the other endpoints? Isn't
Okay.
that right?
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
that's the main thing. So this course will be covering security on all endpoints, including cloud, including internal servers, including firewalls, including mobile phone security, including web application security, your website security. Okay, so all that is inclusive. So I think there's one demo which we took on this Sunday actually, the workshop, or Monday, I think 2 days ago. I would recommend going through that recording once, okay, because in that I've explained specifically like why do you need this course, what is the objective for this course actually, and what endpoint security are we covering as well. So that will answer a lot of your questions. So what you have referred, again, what you have answered, asked, sorry, is very valid. That is only related to cloud security though. What about the other devices security? What about all the other endpoint security, firewall security, FTP server security, mobile phone security? That is not handled by the cloud, right? So again, this will be covering all of that inclusive. That's the point.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yes,
Sir,
all right.
active directories, whether any active directories also should be covered, sir? Or
We'll
that
be
is the
covering
separate.
security on both devices, Ramarao. Again, whether it be Windows operating system devices or Linux operating system devices, the techniques are same. Okay, so again, we'll be covering that also.
Sir, not only security point of view, means when like system administrator any course will be there, sir, where they're covering the active directories and system architecture, something like.
Not really sure, Ramarao, because again, all I know about them or DurgaSoft is they have recently, again with cybersecurity related content, mine is the only course which they have been running for the last 4 years or so. Okay, we have run through different versions of CH. I have started them training from CH version 9 and I've come up to CH version 13. So related to cybersecurity from DurgaSoft, this is the only course as far as I know. Okay, but I can inquire and let you know back. I can get back to you if there's any other courses as such.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Right. Any other questions or doubts, guys, up to this point?
So this 32 working days are enough for this complete course, sir?
Frankly speaking, Rajendra, I've had, again, I trained for other institutes also. There are fast track batches where they completed in 2 weeks itself. Okay. So again, don't worry. I'm going to go very slow. I'm going to explain everything in detail. So in this institute, I'm explaining things in much more detail actually, because the duration is longer. Okay. But yeah, more than sufficient, I would say.
No, sir. Just most of the thing is practical parts, huh?
Almost
So
80%. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so we
Between
need
80
more
percent is
time to
theoretical.
practice it. That's it.
You would have, that would be your time to allocate, right, Rajendra? I'll be showing you all the concepts. I'll be showing you every single attack and defense practically. You would have to add extra 1 year of your, 1 hour of your effort every day. So apart from 1 hour course that we learn every day, you have to implement extra effort on your end as well. So to complete the course, 35 days is more than sufficient. To learn things from your end, it's your limitation. Okay, how much time you can allocate to this and how much more extra research you can put into this. Okay. So, but to complete the course, to learn all the concepts to the point, everything in depth, 35 days is more than sufficient.
Is there any lab activity like to provide real time in class times? Huh? Real time.
That's what I've shown, right? We will be having a lab simulation, Rajendra. So I'll be having this VMware software, which is a virtualization software. In that virtualization software, we'll have various virtual machines, one attacker system and multiple victim systems to replicate or simulate the same exact types of attacks happening in real time. We'll work on attacks like password cracking attacks, DOS attacks, DDoS attacks, exploitation attacks, okay, remote code execution attacks, okay, all these attacks which are possible in real time. I'll be showing you the same exact things in the lab simulation. Okay. And some of these attacks will be shown on real-time websites as well, actual websites on the internet. So everything will be practically shown. No theory nonsense. Okay. So don't
Okay,
worry
sir.
about that. But yeah, 35 days is more than sufficient to cover all those concepts. Okay. But yes,
Okay.
it does require your effort from your end as well. Just those 35 hours of classes are not sufficient to, again, excel in this. You will have to put your effort on your end, definitely. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Any other questions, guys, other than that? Any other queries? Rakesh, Mahadev, Jaspreet, Rajendra. So as mentioned, we have been having these demos for the last 2-3 days, guys. And today will be the last demo. Tomorrow onwards, it will be a registered link. So please, if you have not registered already, please do register at the earliest. Okay, because the link will change from tomorrow. This link will not be active anymore. Okay. So yeah, that's it. So shall I exit the session, guys? Any other questions or so? Okay,
Awesome.
assuming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Have a good day. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.